So welcome back to the second part of tonight's show, where again John, Dave, and myself are going to look forward to our game down in South Africa against the Cheetahs on Friday and all the other Pro 12 action. Pro 14 action actually now it is. So we take on the Cheetahs on Friday night. It's a double header in the stadium. The Orange Free State Currie Cup team. Not sure what are they still the Cheetahs?
The Cheetahs and then the
Toyota
Toyota Cheetahs.
Okay,
There's a difference.
Anyway, the two matches on Friday night, so hopefully that will generate a bit of interest and a bit of a crowd in the stadium.
And the Toyota Cheetahs who we're playing have been given basically the full squad to play with, and the Currie Cup Cheetahs have to make do with what's left. So it's going to be tough. I mean, it is.
What a right old load of Cheetahs.
Yeah,
I didn't realise they actually won the Currie Cup last season.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. And I read it in Tourney's article today, and
They were flying at the beginning of this season as well.
and they've won. I think they won 5 out of 6, and then because they've had to split the squad, they've lost their last two, so they're now 5 from 8. But still,
They could do something in the competition. I'd say they'll have to work out something for next year.
I think they're going to bring forward the
Currie
Currie
Cup.
Cup.
Yeah, they're changing it around. Yeah. They're going to go with Super 8s like they are in the GA. But no, I mean, I tell you one thing. It just shows there's very few clubs in world rugby anywhere that could compete in 2 Tier 1 competitions at the same time.
But is it a bit like the BNI Cup now, because a lot of the internationals don't play in it?
No. The Currie Cup is.
Well, no. Traditionally it is, of course, but it was kind of the premium provincial tournament when we were growing up. But has it lost some of its sparkle since the internationals?
Not to South Africans, it hasn't. The unfortunate thing is that South African Springbok internationals are withdrawn, but because South Africa is such a federal country, the Currie Cup is still massively important to local people. I mean, the provinces in South Africa actually mean something, as opposed to just being historical geographical things that they are here. In South Africa, a province is an actual thing, and there's governmental things like that. So people do have local pride in the provinces that they don't necessarily hear, and that was one of the problems with Super Rugby. Super Rugby initially, when South Africa entered it, originally it was on provincial lines, but then they created franchises, which I think diluted the interest a bit. It's at altitude, it's at home. They've got their strongest team available. They've got their other team watching. The place will be full. It's on TV, live on TV in South Africa on Friday night.
It could be a banana skin.
It could be.
Interesting.
But it's what the league needs. I mean, unfortunately, we're going to, but it's what a proper league you want. You want the stadium hosts 48,000. You want it to be full. You want it to be a humdinger of a match. And if they beat us, they beat us, because they're going to be better than us on the night. That's what you want.
However, we have just one injury from last week, which seems to be James Ryan. So we're a little bit threadbare in the second row. We've two second rows and Reese Ruddock to cover. So either they start Reese Ruddock.
We have the Airport 2 available.
Yeah, but they're not second rows.
Oh, sorry. I mean, just mean in general.
Yeah.
Didn't they fly down Nick Carty?
So he's still there for a holiday.
But I thought you were only allowed to have 40.
Yeah.
Well, they obviously had to make some kind of an exception because of the...
Maybe because they didn't enter South Africa, couldn't they?
Yeah, well, that's it. Technically, they never entered South African soil.
But still, there's going to be 41 of the touring party there now. I don't know, but I know.
I do know that there was some of the Blazers weren't entirely happy, because
maybe they had to send the Blazer home.
They were only allowed. They had to switch between one week and the other.
I know. Actually, Lancaster is going home to prepare for the Edinburgh match.
That's right, he's going home. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So maybe they can swap around on the Bears. I don't know.
Well, we seem to be in reasonably good health, other than that James Ryan thing. So we've got an extra 2 players, as you've just said. So we've got
one of whom's quite good.
One of whom is fairly handy around the park,
and the other of whom has experience of playing in South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely,
which is important.
So I wouldn't be too worried about us. Having said that, it is a banana skin. We could lose this game. I'd be happy to get 4 points out of it. Any else scrappy win would be happy. Oh yes, it'd be nice to get 5 points, but the win will do me. And I think also because of the nature of the game, we're going to have to go after them early because of the way the high felt is going to attack us, and they seem to be staying out of the high felt. They're going to go in late.
Yeah.
They're going to do the
They've
going
done
in
it
late.
kind of. I think they went to Johannesburg, they trained there, they went down
Went
to
back
sea
to-
level to Cape Town, then flew to PE, then they
They're
moved
back to Cape Town.
Back
I
to
think.
Cape
back
Town.
to Cape Town, and they're going up
The night before.
Thursday.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
go up late. So,
Yeah. I think they trained the first day in Joburg just A, to train after getting off the plane, and B, to give the players an idea of what
it's like.
what the oxygen exhaustion can be like.
well, I think they'll need to build a bit of a lead, because you saw what happened. I keep referring back to what happened to Ireland. Like, it was like somebody shot them from the stands at about 60 minutes. They were playing great stuff. They were well ahead. And, you know, your man, what's his name, Cornbrink, or the guy who scored
Ruben Conbrink.
the late tries, they just seemed to grow into the game because they were used to the conditions.
Yeah.
So that's definitely going to be a factor. So you're going to have to have 8 substitutes that are raring to go and are going to be, you know, going to hit the ground running to carry the 7 guys that are remaining on the field for the whole full 80 minutes. And you're going to have to, you know, we seem to have the squad to do it. We've got a decent squad left out there. They're callow enough. Bit of experience from Isa helps out hugely on that, and even Gibson Park, you mentioned it yourself there, that he's played in South Africa before. So we should have the Dunes. We should have the capability to take this one home.
It's a squad that's callow in terms of years, but a lot of those guys now have got a lot of game time under their belts in terms of, I mean, Adam Byrne must be approaching
50 caps.
40 or 50 caps. O'Loughlin must have 20 or 30 caps.
Mm-hmm.
No Reid, although I don't expect him to start, has a fair few caps. Joey Carberry, Ross Byrne, Dave Carney obviously has a lot. Fergus McFadden obviously has a lot, although there's a bit of a question about his fitness. And in the pack, we've got a lot of experience in terms of, I mean, at the end of the day, we do have the current Irish captain.
Well, he could very well start at 12. He could have seen Isa at full back or something.
No, that's true. I mean, anything could happen. I
I
mean,
wouldn't know what.
Ruddock
Ross
playing-
Byrne
Ruddock
got a
could-
bit of a knock. He might end up on the bench with Carberry starting at 10. You just don't know what way that's going to go. So, but I
Interesting
think we
to
have
see
enough bodies anyway to do the job. And
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see that selection. Just, I suppose there's probably a bit of clarification on some of the other injuries, well, 2 in particular. Dave Carney has done his hammer. He's going to be
Rob
out.
Kearney.
Rob
Rob,
Kearney,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Rob Kearney's done his hammer out for 8 weeks.
wasn't for bad luck, he'd have no luck.
I know,
with that.
yeah, he's had a tough time the last sort of 2 seasons, hasn't he? And we mentioned Levy. He's actually had an op
Yeah.
on his ankle.
He
8
got
weeks
injured
as well.
in the build up to Barry Daly's try,
Mhm.
and that's obviously what that injury is.
Yeah. So they're both out for 8 weeks, and
Yeah.
I probably not going to be in contention for the autumn international
No.
games. However, there was a bit of good news today. There was 2 bits of news, I suppose. BOI renewed their sponsorship with Leinster for another 5, and they put an enormous amount, not just in terms of money, but support that they've put in.
Marketing support.
Marketing. You see the amount of like kids camps all around, all branded by them, you know, and it's obviously they support all the different teams, the competitions, the Towns Cup, the Schools Cups, and so on, the ladies team, and all that, which is good to see.
Of course, the deal was announced in the home of the Towns Cup champions.
That's right, down in
down
Tullow,
in Tullow.
and it was good to see that Robbie Henshaw was down there as well.
Yeah.
He had some fairly positive news. He's hoping to be back in time for the
Edinburgh game, isn't it?
Munster
Munster
Edinburgh
game,
game.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's going to be a few people that are back for that Edinburgh game that you wouldn't have otherwise. You know, there's going to be people who might have started in week 4 who won't because it's in South Africa.
Yeah.
And there'll be a few of those that might turn up in Edinburgh who you wouldn't have expected to see until Munster, like Jack McGrath, like Henshaw, and who knows who else.
When does James Lowe turn up?
Well, his team are looking to be finished in the next few weeks, I think. So he could appear. Sorry, not in the next few weeks. Over the next month, I think. So he could appear around when we're going into the November internationals, I would imagine.
So we need him.
Yeah.
When we need him,
Yes,
exactly.
So that's good. So when we look at some of the other fixtures that are coming up, Glasgow take on Munster. It's going to be
That's
you know, 2 unbeaten sides.
A choice morsel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a
That's
bit of bad history after last year as well, with
Yeah,
a
they're
few
not-
sendings off.
Not
and
best pals.
the last couple of years, actually, they've played a Pro 12 final, they've Pro 12 semi-final. They played 4 matches, I think, against each other last year. They
Yeah.
had it in-
And one of them was the match that after Axel Foley's
Yeah. Dance in
death.
Glasgow got stiffed.
And then, do you remember Earls got sent off, and he had a bit of
what I'm referring
verbals
to.
about.
Familiarity did breed contempt.
But it's unusual that normally it's happened for 100 years in rugby matches that you can kick the living shite out of each other on a pitch, and then you walk off and it's kind of nearly forgotten about. Earls kind of continued it on,
yeah.
and he kind of said, "Oh, your man played to get me sent off," which is
Not the thing to be saying.
well, it's just adds a bit more spice to the fixture, I think.
Well, we'll see how that goes. It's a top of the table clash, and it's good for every other team in the conference and in both conferences to see them knock lumps out of each other, and hopefully they do.
At the polar end of that, the Kings take on Zebre, so I can only imagine
Mick Bradley's licking his lips.
what maybe up attendance figures.
Mick Bradley has actually got a blackboard out and some pointers and stuff and said, "Lads, 3 phases, run that way, you'll score. I've seen it. You'll
If
score
you can
every time."
if you can take them beyond, they're handy enough with the ball in hand
Oh yeah.
in an
And
unstructured
they're
kind of way,
fast.
but the organisation is quite poor. If Zebre can take them beyond 3 or 4 phases, they should make hay.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, it'd be good to see. Well, one of them has to get the win.
Yeah.
It'll be good to see whichever of them gets the win. Actually, something we didn't refer back to in part 1, where you said last week, after this game, it's going to be Treviso, or it's going to be Zebre 1 point and the Cheetahs 5 points.
Yeah.
And then you said, no, I mean 1 point in total.
Yeah.
It actually was.
It was, yeah, you were right.
It
Yeah,
was 1
it
point.
turned out to be a 5-1 in the
Yeah, because they got 4 tries.
Yeah, yeah.
So, 40 points. We didn't quite mention that in part 1.
David
40
Cahill,
points.
the accidental psychic.
There you go.
I feel
Anyway.
like one of those numbers that people can ring in
Yeah.
to, Dave,
Here's the number now, folks.
Mystic Dave.
Yeah.
So Ulster take on the Dragons. We'll see, I suppose, if it was a flash in the pan last week's result, or whether Ulster can sustain.
I'd expect Ulster to beat Dragons, all
I
right.
know
But
they
even
should,
now-
but Dragons have their.
But what I want to see is how, obviously from a general perspective, Dragons have played Leinster and now they're playing Ulster, 2 of the good teams. This will show where they are,
And Henderson will be back.
Henderson will be
But
back. Late for
Bernard
Pablo
Jackman-
Fanquist Square.
Bernard
Fair.
Jackman is practically saying he's going to send the Espoirs.
Did he?
Like he's
Yeah.
hasn't
Oh, did
quite
he,
said
yeah?
that, but we're going to have to rest a few lads. They've all
Okay.
been, So I don't think Dragons are going out with the mindset to beat Ulster at all. Think they'd be happy to
Of course,
get a losing
Birch,
bonus
So
point.
that could be.
Birch was a
psychological.
he was a great
knows?
admirer of Michael Cheika's approach. You
Yeah.
know, Cheika would say stuff like that.
The thing is, though, Birch was actually one of the fellas who was sent
Yeah, he was
over to
always
Dragons
the
to mind them.
sacrificial lamb.
Well, it was him, Mallow Kelly, and Gervin Dempsey
Gervin
or
Dempsey,
someone
yeah.
was sent over to Dragons regularly to kind of babysit the 12 other fellas on the pitch. So Treviso take on Ospreys over in Treviso.
That could be an interesting one.
It could be,
It could be an interesting
considering
one.
that Ospreys have pretty much fallen off a cliff, their form in the
Yeah.
last, I said, 6 months. And that,
Treviso are building a bit.
well, we'll see if their win against Edinburgh was a fluke or not.
Yeah, that'd be very interesting because they made hard work of the Dragons in round 1, the Ospreys.
Yeah.
So we just have to see if
Round 2.
was it round 2?
Did we not play the Dragons in round 1?
No, they Zebra. Did I say Dragons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Carry on,
Ospreys-
boy.
Ospreys made hard work of Zebre
Yeah.
in round 1, and let's see how they do against Treviso in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
Might be a bit of a harder
I hope it is.
ask.
Well, I think it
Like,
will
I
be.
mean, that was another fill-up for the league if you got an Italian team that's competitive. And
Oh yeah. Yeah.
especially a team like Ospreys that had a bit of tradition. They won the league, 3 or 4 times. They have never really done it at European level, but certainly have it.
But they'd still be regarded as a good team.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A good club.
So, and the other finally, the other match is Connacht against Cardiff.
I say Connacht to win that one.
I hope so. It's in Glasgow. Sorry, it's in Galway.
Yeah, well, you'd have to think they'll win, but one of these days.
You could be right.
Hopefully
That
it's
guy
not
might
this
actually hit
weekend.
somebody with his pint.
Well, they only lost by a point against Glasgow.
Yeah.
Admittedly, it was in Cardiff, but Glasgow are no slouches, so you never know.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it's
Just
just
get sick of losing eventually.
a few other little tidbits of news. I suppose one sad piece of news was the passing of Pat Geraghty,
Yeah,
who was PRO with Leinster Rugby for a number of years, and then obviously spent a long time down in Munster. I know I saw you wrote something very nice about him on Leinster fans today.
Yeah, I liked him. He was. I mean, he was quite. He wasn't afraid to let you know what he thought, but he never did it with spite or anything like that. He was, and he'd expect you to do the same. And he was very good company. Like if you were in his company, you enjoyed yourself, you know. And he was a good guy. I mean, we had one or two kind of profound disagreements about the media campaigns in 2009, which we chatted about it. I always remember when after we lost in 2012 in the hospitality room afterwards, and Roman Pott was there having his post-match meal, and Pat Geraghty was just standing there kind of like, that gimlet gaze he had. I thought it was melting. So I always remember that.
Yeah.
But
he was too young to die.
he was too young. He was. I mean, I was saying to somebody actually the day before yesterday about the whole Leinster's, if you like, the Keystone Cops tour to South Africa. I said, if Pat Geraghty was down there, the story that was told up here would be a very different story, because he was really, really good at managing the media and managing stories. And I mean, Munster players loved him. Munster guys absolutely loved him. You talk to any of the Munster players,
Yeah.
he was the first number on their speed dial.
But you see the former players' tweets and whatever
Yeah.
that had, and there was quite like even Larry Fisher, that had
Yeah.
coached at very high level, had a lot
Yeah.
of time for him.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sad passing. Tyke Byrne, it looks like, might be going to Munster. He's refused to
As
sign his
predicted here 18
deal.
months ago.
Yeah.
He's refused to sign his deal with.
We've predicted
Scouts.
everyone to everywhere, so
No, and once Leinster wannabe Donncha Ryan was leaving Munster, I knew that would be the quid pro quo.
I'll never let that go. That
I
You
feel
called
sorry
him
for
that when he
the guy
retired.
wanted to sign for us and he wasn't let. I mean, I feel sorry for the guy.
yeah.
Everybody wants.
You don't
to be a
care who
Leinster guy.
knows.
I don't. I'm there for you, Donncha. I have a spare season ticket. Anytime you want to come watch Leinster,
It would be nice to see
the team of your dreams.
to see Tyke Byrne. Well, yeah, we've also seen Gavin Thornbury. Gavin Thornbury and Tyke Byrne are two guys who I would associate together because
Yeah,
they came up
yeah.
at similar times in the academy. And Gavin Thornbury is now a Connacht after being in New Zealand for a season playing at a kind of a semi-pro level, and now he's back and he's a contract with them. So
So does Steve Crosby actually.
that's right.
Yeah.
After a similar, and so it'd be nice to see Tyke Byrne coming back to Leinster rather than Munster. But hey, if James Ryan stays fit, we might muddle through.
Mhm.
But yeah, imagine the two of them together.
And World Cup finalist,
We didn't
an
know.
current Irish
Well,
incumbent.
Yeah.
Don't forget, the World Cup finalist is only here for another season. So if Tyke Byrne did come to Leinster, he'd have a year along with Fardy, and that'd be the end of that. So he could potentially take over from him.
Well, yeah, Big Dev, who obviously had a new arrival in his house.
Yes.
which is
Yeah.
Congratulations to him.
Yeah. And did Scott Fardy's wife have a baby as well?
Dunno.
Don't know.
She's
Didn't even know
expecting.
Dev did.
Yeah.
But I knew it was due, all right.
Well, one thing that I noticed today, and there's two articles in paper
You gotta
was
get your social media game.
well, there was two articles in the paper today that were two different spins. One coming out of the Irish bid to host the 2023 World Cup, and the other one was the French one. French one, they're both putting lots of spin on it and lots of money going to be available, and the French are going to save world rugby by giving the poor nations more money so that they can hold on to their players and don't move them. So players don't move to France and England, and the Irish are going to make sure that the money is spent over in America and it's going to get them strong, and world rugby is going to be saved because they're going to be become a force in rugby.
It's all, I mean, at the end of the day, it'll come down to two things: which are World Rugby more scared of? The French not taking the World Cup seriously because they've got the Olympics next year, and the fact that there's an awful lot of security concerns about France, or Brexit. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I was thinking about Brexit, and like there's plenty of examples of previous tournaments, not just not just rugby tournaments. Like there was
The World Cup in Japan and Korea.
Japan and Korea. There was the one in Holland
Yeah.
and Belgium. There was one. I know they were in Europe. There was
No, but there's an important
but-
difference.
But the thing is that, say, going back to just even the World Cups that were like they'd played matches in France, they played matches in Cardiff in that 07 World Cup. Even going back to the 91 and 99 World Cup, there was matches in Ireland, there was matches in the UK. 91 there was
We're
matches.
all in the EU then.
But it doesn't matter.
I know, but there's different.
Even the
It was a
doesn't matter.
currency thing. Like you
ma-
had to get on planes to
Well,
transfer.
what actually mattered was when the day that the World Cup was awarded to wherever it was going to be it in soccer or rugby, you knew that you could make a reasonable estimation of what the economic and travel considerations were going to be when the World Cup kicked off. We have no idea. We have absolutely no idea what the situation is going to be in 2023.
It'll be sorted out by
Would-
2023.
would
that
it-
they-
It will
that's
be,
the-
no, but
like
would it be
it-
sorted out by the 15th of November?
Probably not. No.
No, well, there you go.
Well, see, wouldn't it be a real tragedy if we lost the World Cup because of Brexit and then the Brits turned around and said, actually, do you know what? We're not going to leave.
They're not going to. You see, my big problem is that from a business perspective, uncertainty is a massive issue with businesses. When you're making an investment, uncertainty is a big problem. And if you don't even know if staff for a pop-up shop are going to be able to move between the two jurisdictions without visas,
Yeah,
you don't know what tax rate you're going to be
you
paying
can have a
money
fair
at.
guess, but
Huh?
nobody's got any guarantees.
Well, you see,
business
the
likes
thing is,
guarantees.
we can't have it's. I mean, it's part of the whole omni shambles that is Brexit. But you see, the thing is, we don't know what's going to happen. We've got a situation where the population in Northern Ireland actually voted against Brexit. The main party in Northern Ireland is gung ho for Brexit. You've got a situation where people are talking about, what will happen. The border will be between the island of Ireland and Great Britain. But
DUP
the
won't
majority,
have that.
the majority of people in Northern Ireland would rather set themselves on fire than have anything to straighten the link between Ireland and the south, or Northern Ireland and the south. Then they're saying, well, we'll have a hard border. And you've got a sizable minority of people in Northern Ireland would rather set themselves on fire than do anything that weakened the link between Ireland and the south. It's
There's a bit of an
this
omni
is
shambles.
it is but to take it back to a more serious, there are significant business concerns around Brexit for the World Cup. So the question is, as I said, whether France take the World Cup seriously enough, which I'm not sure that they do. I think that they are using it as a warm up, and they're going to practice all their security stuff and all that for the Olympics with the World Cup, with the Rugby World Cup, because they've been awarded the 2024 Olympics.
Well, hopefully...
And World Rugby has said that they want whoever gets the World Cup to have been awarded it for itself rather than as a warm up for something else.
Yeah, but like I mean, they had the Rugby World Cup in 07. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
And they've had European Championships in football last season. Now, I saw again in the article, I mean, it depends which article you read and from what paper and what spin it's going to be on. But I think Thornley wrote this one, and he mentioned, that they're going to have X amount of millions, 100 million in corporate hospitality. Yet at the football last year, they had 60 million.
Yeah.
So they've quite a bit of a reach to get.
Oh yeah.
When you consider football and rugby are kind of two different
Wildly
planets
different,
in popularity and so on.
And the one thing we have is we've got from the president, the Taoiseach, Arlene Foster, Michelle O'Neill, even members of the British royal family are involved in Northern Ireland. Everybody from them all the way down are 100% behind the Irish bid.
That's
And
true.
Liam Nielsen.
And Liam Neeson, and it's a great bid. It really is the bid that's been made with the
great,
towns
but-
involved and the opportunities for tourism, the opportunities for. I'm talking about as a visitor to the country, between whether you want to do a city stay, a rural stay, a long stay, a short stay. Ireland is perfect for it.
But see, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Like say
but
the World Cup that was
France
then,
is not exactly...
But-
it's the biggest tourist
Oh,
attraction
it is, yeah.
country in
Yeah,
the whole
yeah.
world.
but I like from the World Cup that was in New Zealand was kind of almost quaint that they were going to small enough
Yeah.
cities and towns that
It's a
there
lot
was.
further away from everything else than we are, though.
Yeah, I know that, but it was. But like we're quite close to France. France is very, very corporate. Like I remember going to the World Cup in 07 in Paris. You felt like, and again in London, the last one, you felt like you're just one of a tiny little speck in a stadium that holds 70,000, and that's not even the biggest stadium. You've whatever chance you have of mingling and rubbing shoulders with people from
The
or
locale.
players or locale. You just heard it in, heard
Were
it
you in
out.
Cardiff?
No, I wasn't in Cardiff.
Cardiff was great. Cardiff was because what we'll offer would be more like Cardiff. Cardiff was really, really good. The whole town The whole city was about the matches that were on.
Yeah.
There was no sense of flying in and then people. What are you here for? A World Cup? Oh, is there a World Cup on?
Yeah, well,
in Cardiff it was like World Cup.
When I went to London for the Ireland Italy match, and the hotel I stayed in was predominantly made up of Americans who were going to the NFL game later the afternoon
Oh, in Wembley, yeah.
in Wembley. The Jets, I can't remember, Dolphins, I think they were playing. And
The Jets and the Sharks.
they were Americans who had no clue that the Rugby World Cup was on. I went out to the Olympic Stadium, and walking through the shopping centre there, the local Londoners hadn't a clue there was a rugby or indeed American football match on. You know, it just, because London's a global city and whatever, 12 million people live there.
And the experience in Cardiff was
We were all at that,
was
I
the
think.
complete opposite. And I think and Ireland will attempt to offer something more akin. And Cardiff was praised widely by
Dave,
World Rugby
that-
for their
Were you with me when we discovered the roughest pub in
the dog and gun, as Miriam calls it. Yeah, I was there. Yeah,
But like, that's why Dublin is a dream destination for rugby internationals, because the entire city knows that it's on. It mightn't really be too into it, but you know, taximen know about it, locals know about it, and there's a good atmosphere around the ground. and
Unfortunately,
pubs.
none of that makes the decision as to who's going to host the Rugby World Cup. It's
Well,
all about the
Wonga.
balance of
it's all
power,
about the
the
shekels.
money.
Well, it's
you know.
all about who's shaking enough hands.
That's
and
exactly it.
who's greased enough palms
Yeah.
down along with, and it gave a breakdown of how many votes come from different countries, and unfortunately it will be, we need the Americans vote, we
What
need
can we
Canada,
do for you?
No, there's an awful lot of quid pro quo and the horse trading involved. As I say, I think if it comes down to the actual bid themselves, I think that we win. I think that France have issues around security and they've issues around the World Cup being an end game. We have issues around Brexit and perhaps some political issues around Ireland have never taken the World Cup all that seriously. Maybe that'll become a political thing as well. But I don't know. I hope, I so want the World Cup to be in Ireland. I really do. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be
My
great for the
60th
game.
birthday present to myself.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think it'd be great for the
having
game worldwide. I think it'd be great for the game here.
Yeah.
And I think we do a brilliant job at it.
Good stuff. But anyway, boys, as ever, thanks a million, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.